Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pendant. I've put a list in the description below of everything you'll need to make it, along with links to my Etsy shop, which is kellyjonesjewellery.com, and my Facebook and Instagram links. I think that's everything. To make this pendant you'll need 0.8mm wire, that's 20 gauge, and I've cut 4 lengths at 11 inches, that's 28 centimetres. You'll need weaving wire, you'll need about 200 centimetres, mine's 0.315mm, that's 28 gauge. You can always go like up or down a gauge on these sizes, this is just what I'm using. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. If you don't have a bobbin you can just cut lengths as you go. I've got a little teardrop cabochon today, that's a flat backed one. That's 20mm by 10. You can use a different size if you like, because this design is quite versatile. You just need to add a few more inches to your wire lengths, and you need to increase your weave repeats. Tools, I've got pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters, nylon pliers. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry, I just like having these to hand for straightening the wires and flattening weaves and things like that. So all my tools at the minute what I'm using are Tronex. I've stopped putting links in the description, but I'll still write on there the types of tools that I use. So cut all your wires to length as I have, and take your 4 main base wires, put your thumb in the centre of the wires, and we're going to start working just to the left of your thumb there. So take your weaving wire. We're going to start with 3 wraps around that bottom wire. And then go over the second wire. So we're going to round those bottom 2. Come up between those bottom 2 wires. Over the third wire. So we're going to round those middle 2. So then come up between those middle 2. Over the top. Up between the bottom 2. And then go around the middle 2 again. Under the bottom wire. Around those bottom 2. So we go over the second. Then come up between the bottom 2 wires, and we go around those middle 2 again. So go over the third, up between those middle 2, and over the top. So you can see the repeat. Come up between the bottom 2, over the third, so we're wrapping around those middle 2, under the bottom wire, over the second. I'm going to do that a few more times. So we come up between the bottom 2, around the middle 2, around the top 2, around the middle 2, around the bottom 2. Just do one more repeat of that. Finish with 3 wraps around that bottom wire. I give the wires a little pull before I cut them off, just so they're nice and tight. and cut both the wires. Then you want to flatten the ends down so we ain't got any sharp bits. So now I'm going to put a bend in this weave, and it needs to be the same angle as the bottom of the stone because it's going to wrap around the stone. So take your pliers and you want to kind of grab halfway and bend your wires. So you've got that shape. And it needs to be the same angle as your peak on your stone. So move into a flat surface because it's just easier to have something to lean on. Hold your stone in place and start to wrap your wires around your stone. You want to leave a little gap at the top there so it makes like a marquise shape. So we've just got a little gap at the top. And then when your wires come to the top, we're going to straighten them back up. So you want to pinch them together, sort of bending them out a bit at the top there. I never get it right first time, so I like to correct the shape with the pliers. So I'll roughly grab it where I think it would have bent and bend them out a bit. And I'll do the same for the other side. So I'm just trying to correct the shape a bit better. Because it never does do what you want it to. So you've got that shape there. The wires have gone around the stone and you've got that bit of a gap at the top. Because I'm only using a little stone, I'm going to secure this now by just wrapping the wires around the top, and then I shall bend the wires around the stone. If you're using a bigger stone, so this section here on the side is longer, when you come to this section now, you'll need to secure your wires together better at the top, otherwise it's going to be a bit weak and there's more chance of your stone falling out. So now when I attach and wrap around the top, if you're using a bigger stone, you need to do this weave along here. Just for a little bit, just do it like 3 or 4 repeats on each side, just to give it that bit of extra strength. But if you're using a little one, then you can just secure it how I'm going to now. So holding it together now, because we're going to tie it at the top, you want to make sure, just hold on to it and have a look. Just make sure that your wires haven't crossed over each other. Even pull them apart a little bit at the top there so you can see that they haven't crossed over each other. And then take your weaving wire and we're going to attach to one of the back wires, and we'll wrap about 3 times. And push that just below where the join is. And then you want to hold them all so they're all nice and tidy next to each other and they're not crossing over each other. And take your time with it. I think the most important thing is that you don't rush what you're doing. You want to get it all right, otherwise you'll be undoing it and doing it again, and then it'll just take even longer. Wrap around the whole thing about 5 times. And then take one of the back wires and wrap around that 3 times. I'm going to cut this tail end off from the beginning because we don't need that now. So position your stone, and we're going to turn to the back. Trying to get that out the way. Right. So you're going to grab your back wires, just pull them over the stone a little bit. And then take your pliers, grab the wire towards the bottom there, holding it in place at the top with your thumb so that the top of the wire doesn't move. And we're just going to put a little bend in the wire, and that holds that stone in there. Do it to the other side too. So you want to grab it in roughly the same place. And give it a twist, holding it at the top. Hold it in place. Turn to the front. I'm going to pull the front wires forward a little bit. We're going to grab that front wire right at the bottom. I'm going to put a little bend in it. So I just twisted it in with my pliers, and I'll do the same for the other side. And then you want to try and match it all up and get it quite symmetrical looking. So I'm pinching the top and the bottom just to make it tighter around the stone. So when you're happy with your shape, we're now going to move on to the top wires. So we've got the wires at the back, got the two wires at the back, they can go straight up. And then the two wires next to those, we want those as well to the back. So we've got 4 wires at the back. So we've got 2 on this side, which I'm just going to bend over for now out of the way. And these 2 on this side I'm going to move over there. So focusing on these 4 at the back. So now we're going to weave across all 4 wires. I think these 2 want to go in the middle. You need to line them up so they sit best really, so they'll sit next to each other. I think I'll have them like that. Do you want to do the same weave as we did for the bottom? So I'm going to wrap 3 times around this bottom wire here. So we're in position. So we're going to go around the bottom 2, between those 2, around the middle 2, between those 2, around the top 2, up between the bottom 2. Just going to go around those middle 2 wires, under the bottom wire and around the second. So we're going to keep repeating that. around the middle 2, around the top 2, around the middle 2, around the bottom 2. So I've added more repeats to that weave, and what I love about this pendant design is it's got this great big long bail section that's probably as long as a stone, but that's where we're going to add all these wraps in a bit. So many pendants and you have this little tiny bail and it looks all cute, and then the stone looks nice and in proportion, but this one I want a great big bail on the top. That's the design. I want it to be really long. So my bail is 3.5. I've woven about 3.5 centimeters. I mean, you could make it longer, you could make it shorter if you want to. You can adapt it into whatever design you like. But for this particular shape, I want to have this great big long bail here. So 3.5 centimeters of weaving, and we're going to finish with 3 wraps around that bottom wire to stop it all coming undone there. Right, so I'm going to use bail pliers. If you don't have any bail pliers, you can use a pencil, you could use a little paintbrush, a crochet hook, a knitting needle, anything you like about that size. We're just going to wrap the weave around it, so you just need something that's got that kind of size to it if you don't have the bail pliers. And you want to bend it over so that the weave ends up in line with the wraps around the top there. And keep pushing your weave together as you're working as well. That's my pliers gone. So when you get to this part here, I'm just going to bend that out so that when I push it together, it meets nicely. Hard to show you this close, what I'm doing. So we've got this lovely long bail on the top. So now I'm going to take this wire and I'm pulling on it to pull it all together, and I'm going to wrap around the entire thing a few times. Tied up here. I'm going to round the whole thing and then cut my wires in a knot now. I'm going to go around this end wire, and you want to pull it nice and tight so it's really holding everything together. I'm just going to wrap around that wire a few times. And I've pulled nice and tight on that wire. I'm going to cut it off, flatten it down. So that's what we've got so far. You can probably hear Gracie sleeping. Let's sort these back wires out first. So I'm just going to cut these short and curl them so they're out the way. I want quite small curls on the outer ones. Oops, that's gone. So cut those quite short. I'll have these ones a little bit longer. And you want your round nose pliers. And I'm going to just curl them all up to kind of finishes them off and gets them out of the way. When you're doing curls, it's best just to take your time. And it just takes practice really with the pliers. When you first start doing curls, it's best to just get a bit of wire and just do loads of curls. Just curl the wire as much as you want in lots of different shapes, just to get the hang of twisting that wire around. So I'm twisting this one around to sit underneath that one. It's gonna be hard to show you this. I'm gonna curl that one. So I've done 4 little curls all sat next to each other. Just straightening them up a bit. And make sure you've got no sharp edges there. And all your curls are all closed so they don't snag on anything. Right, so looking at these front wires now. We've got the 4 wires and we want to pull them out so they're in a line, and you can see the front 2, they're happy sitting in the middle. The outer 2 go to the sides. I'm just going to straighten that a bit. We need our wires to be nice and straight now. So I'm going to start with these middle 2, and I'm going to take this wire, start with either one really, and I'm just going to scoop it around. I want it to go behind that one. Just have a nice scoop in the wire. And then I'm going to take this other front wire and I'm going to scoop that around too. And I want them to pretty much be flat at the top there. And take your time with this, because there's no rush, you want to get it nice. So we've got that shape at the top. Now, holding it really firmly at the front so you don't misshape what we've just done, we're going to take the wires through the bail, and you've got to hold it really firmly at the front, otherwise you spoil your shape. Do that for the other one too. Take it through the bail to the other side, really pinching it hard at the front so that it doesn't move. Go on. So we've got that shape, and then it goes through the bail. I'll push that wire down a little bit. I need to straighten that, but you've got to be careful because you will misshape. get this nice and tight around the bail. Oh, it's hard to show you with all these long wires. I'm just going to pinch a little bit where it bends around the bail so it sits nice and tight in there. So now take these bottom wires, we're going to bring the wire over to the front, bring it over the shape that we've done already, and we're going to scoop it around. We've brought it right the way over and we're going to scoop it around like that. And we're going to take this one, we're going to bend that over the front, and we're going to scoop that around too. So now we've got another shape at the bottom there. And take your time positioning the wire where you want it to be. You can adjust it a little, just do little bits at a time. If you do big bends, it's hard to go back because then you've misshaped your wires. So just move it a little bit at a time. And then take those wires, again holding it firmly at the front now, pinch it really tight. Take those wires around to the back. So they just go straight across the back there. What I'm going to do with these wires at the back, because they've come across right at the top of my stone there, I'm going to cut them quite short. I know it looks like I'm cutting a lot of wire off, but I like to have a lot of wire to handle when I'm working. So then I'm going to take this wire, again you're going to have to hold the shape at the front because you're going to really pull it out of shape now. And just carefully bend that through to go around those side wires. Do it for that side as well. And then carefully, because you don't want to mark your wire, pinch. So you're squeezing it around those side wires. And hopefully we haven't misshaped it too much, that's fine. So now with these wires at the top, holding this in place because you still may misshape it, I'm going to bring the wire over. It does cross over here because it's come underneath, so we can't do anything about that, but this one sits above, so it is going to cross over that wire a little bit, pinching it at the front again. You want to put a scoop in the wire that is the width of the bail, like that. Do you want to make a scoop that's the entire width of the bail that finishes over here? And then do that with the other one, so pull that around, scoop it around and trying to match it up. You want a scoop as wide as the bail. The sort of in keep with the rest of the shapes. And when you're happy with the shape, we're going to pinch it again and we're going to wrap it around the bail again. So holding it firmly in place at the front and pushing that wire through and around the bail. And the same for the wire on this side, pressing it really hard against that bail. Now we want to secure it a little bit. I'm just lining the wires up on the back there. I'm going to squeeze that wire a little bit so the bend is tight around the bail. So I've just squeezed those wires firmly around the bail there, and I've got them crossing over on the back inside the bail. To finish these wires off so that they don't come undone, and take them over the top. Cut them short and just bend them around the bail. I'll go on and squeeze it nice and tight in place. So there we have it. I just need to oxidize it now. So please mention me when you share your finished work online, and feel free to sell the jewellery that you make from my tutorials. All I ask is that you mention me, Kelly Jones Design. Please don't show people the back because it gives the design away. I'd prefer that you sent them here to come and watch this video and make it with me. I do get paid for the adverts. There is not much, so I would prefer that you send people here, seeing as this isn't really costing you anything. So thanks to everybody who does, because I know a lot of people do mention me on Facebook, and I really do appreciate it. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. If you're on there, tag me. I would love to see your finished work all made from my designs. Really love it. Thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye. I just thought I'd let you know I've recently finished a tutorial for this. It's a written tutorial. So it's like an instant download from my Etsy shop. So you download the file and it's pages and pages of images with descriptions. So you go through it at your own pace. And it's for this pendant and setting that little stone in the top there. So I've done a couple of those. But yeah, there's quite a few written tutorials now in my shop if you fancy challenging a few of those. They're a bit more complex than the videos. I'll try and keep the videos short so the The written tutorials are a lot longer and a lot more detailed, so there's a lot more techniques in there. If you fancy giving them a go, pop on over to the shop.